And it was all new territory, obviously. I've never died before, obviously. I've never been placed on hospice. I really didn't know what the hell to do. I didn't know how to go forward. I didn't know how to do anything, to be honest with you. It was a very sad time. When you get diagnosed with something that's incurable and you know that it's going to take your life sooner than it should, you feel a lot of guilt. And at that moment during this time, the guilt was heavy on my shoulders. But I found myself thinking, what would be the best way forward with all of this? I didn't know. And when I tell that to my wife now, and I tell that to my people that love me, that I was certainly in that dark place, they don't understand. How could you? You got a wife, you got a kid. How can you even think about offing yourself? I had to surround myself with the people that meant the most to me to get me through this god-awful situation that I'm in and my wife and kids in. So I started kind of taking an inventory of my friends and my family. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 6 Months Left to Live. I'm Hank. I'm your host. We are telling my life story about what I live with every day, what I've been through. I want to make this clear to people. You have to be ready for things in your life. Mentally, financially, all those things that matter. You have to be ready for some curveballs because, damn it, you're going to get them. I don't care who you are. You're going to get them. I never thought I would have a curveball like this in life, but I have. I'm in it now. I'm in the midst of a storm, and it's not a damn thing I can do about it. So I left off, we get through that Memorial Day weekend, and we get back home, and kind of school's wrapping up for the year and all that stuff. And with 3 kids, my oldest one was in high school, going to graduate that next year. She was pretty tough mentally, just because she had a lot of stuff to do. She had a good group of friends. She was in high school. She had a little bit more freedom. She did, we gave her more freedom and all that. Now, the 2 smaller ones, the middle child and my son, obviously they were younger, and so they did not have as much freedom as my oldest one did. So as time went on that summer, maybe that June, things were not much better around the house. Depression, me still getting drunk as a bicycle. That's pretty damn drunk. Me being depressed, mad. There's nothing that changed. The only thing that changed is that my sister-in-law saved me from eating a bullet Memorial Day weekend. That's about the only goddamn thing that's changed at that moment. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. But I'm still on hospice, and I've still got, some screwed up diseases. So I didn't realize, I've said this the very first episode, I did not realize the damage I was doing to people in my house. I just didn't. I didn't see it. And I kind of said, screw it, fuck it. They're not the ones that are dying. They're not the ones that are diagnosed with this. I was so selfish, it was not even funny. And mad, you can imagine. So things just kept on going downhill for us as a family. One of the first things that happened was my middle child, my daughter, started. By this time, the emotions of all this was just catching up with everybody. So she started acting up in life. And I think it was because of bitterness, mad, and all that. So she started doing things that she shouldn't be doing. And so she got caught shoplifting at the mall, her and a group of friends. And that was probably in middle of June, towards the end of June, not long after Memorial Day, that Memorial Day. And so that was a tough one. The cops got arrested, da 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 da. When she got home, of course, we were mad, and my emotions were all over the place. I was mad. I said things I shouldn't have said. My wife was mad. Anyway, she said a few things that she shouldn't have said. And the very next thing you know, we're having a Baker actor. Baker acting is when you call the cops, they come out there to make an assessment, and then they haul your damn child off to the mental hospital. Now that, I couldn't believe it. I thought, what else could go wrong? What else could go wrong as far as what we're going through as a family? Now my middle child is in a fucking mental hospital over there in West Palm for kids. And we went and visited her, and it was everything you could imagine, dressed in a damn, it was terrible, terrible. The whole house was depressed. And so we get past that, and we get her some help, and she's refusing to really get help. And I'm still falling apart at the seams. My wife is falling apart. She's trying to hold it together as best she can as a wife and a mother. But it ain't working. It ain't working. It's just that simple. That the storm, we were in the midst of a storm, and it was a fucking hurricane category 5 storm in our lives. It was a Cat 5. Boy, that was tough. I'm not quite sure how we survived it to be at this point in our lives now, but that's later to come. So we get her past that Baker acting bullshit, and then literally 2 weeks later, my son just about has a damn nervous breakdown. So then we had to Baker act his ass. Now here we are. Our 2 youngest ones have been Baker acted in a month. The fuck is going on? How can this be? I was beside myself. And not only did I have the guilt of my disease, now I had the guilt of all of this. It was just catching up. The financial burden of it, the depression part of it, the hospice part of it, the anger part of it, the bitterness, just the family being split. All those things was just coming down like a ton of bricks on me especially, and I know my wife. And certainly now it was coming down on my kids. I really didn't know what to do. Here's what I did know. I was going to have to somehow change what I was doing at that moment. Now, I wasn't going to give up the fucking drinking. So one of the better things that I did at that moment during all this time is I went and got a psychiatrist. And she is the one that really kind of put me on a better path. Vanessa. That's all I'm going to give you, Vanessa. And I looked at my insurance, and I looked at to see what insurance would cover. And really I was just looking, and the way I picked around, no one referred me. No, I looked at her, I went, she's cute. Boom. Call her up, make an appointment. She takes my insurance. I go see her. So the very first time I'm there, and I tell her some of the things that's going on, that's really the first one that's kind of, as far as outside help, kind of listened to me. And so she put me on some medicine, some antidepressants, and then a mood stabilizer. And I was never one of these people that thought they needed drugs to be happy or mood stabilizer, but goddamn, I was desperate. Man, I was desperate. My kids were fucked up. I was fucked up. I'm fucking up my wife. Her mind is fucked up. My family is split. It could not have been any more than what I'm saying right now. It could not have been any worse. I was going broke. I mean, it was just flat ass miserable. So I met with this lady and I start taking this medicine and Vanessa, and she was easy on the eyes. So it was easy for me to go because I didn't really want to go to a shrink, but she was easy on the eyes. And the very first thing that she, we talked about, about all this stuff and how I wanted to do this and how one the way I felt and the way I wanted to off myself and I'm not going to make it to this, I'm not going to make it to that, and all these milestones in my kid's life, I won't be around because I'll be 6 feet fucking under. If I didn't kill myself, the damn disease would be taking care of old Hank. So I listen to her. I take the medicine like I'm supposed to. Well, about 3 weeks after me taking that medicine, and I'm still drinking, so let's don't put that aside, but I feel a little bit difference in my attitude, and I didn't understand why. I feel a little bit different, meaning that I woke up and I wasn't happy, but I felt better. I think that was probably the first time in a while since all this shit started that I said something positive to my family. I think that's probably the first time where they asked me how I was doing, and I actually said I'm fine instead of saying I'm fucked. How do you think I'm doing? I'm not doing good at all. That's one thing about it, folks. No one has to remind me that I've got a disease. No one. There's nobody out here has to remind me. I live with it every day. And people that have cancers and diseases out there that don't ever be fooled, they live with it every day. No one has to remind them. No one has to say, you've got this and this is wrong with you and this is what's wrong with. No one. Zilch. I don't have to be reminded. Even right now when I wake up in the morning, I know at this point, I know that I've got a disease and I know I'm screwed. Nobody. So it's not like people have to remind me. It's not like I have to go, oh, let's see here. All right, Hank, what you going to do today? Oh, that's right. You got a disease. It's on my mind constantly. Even today, it's on my mind. Tomorrow, tonight, I've learned to cope with those things and deal with it. But no one has to remind you that, no one has to remind me that I'm screwed. Nobody. And that's the case with anybody, I think, facing a storm. I think that's the case with anybody. Trust me. No one has to remind that person that they've got cancer. No one has to remind that person they've got a fatal disease. They know. They know. They absolutely know. So we're kind of trucking through the summer a little bit, and my kids have been Baker acted, and things are just really fucked up, stress, money, you name it, and it's just not getting any better. I mean, the only thing that's gotten better is I had met Vanessa, and she had put me on some medicine, and I was just felt a little bit better than I had. And I had surrounded myself with good people. Damn good people. My friends, the family members that I wanted to be surrounded with, not all of them. The medical people, my neurologist, my psychiatrist. I had built how do you say it? I had built a tribe. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I had built a tribe around me that could help me weather the storm. And that made me feel a little bit of peace for the first time in a while. A little bit. I mean, when I say a little bit, a smidgen. If you don't know what a smidgen is very little. So that made me not hopeful, not hopeful at all, not thinking I was going to outrun this disease, not thinking of any of that, but just a little bit of happiness, if you want to call it that, but not much. I ain't gonna say it was just joy, 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 happy, happy, happy. It wasn't like that. So I had these people in place, and these are people that I could count on um, whenever I needed them. Whenever I needed them, I had my friends. I had what family members I wanted, which wasn't many. I had my doctors in place. Um, we were still living down there in South Florida, and so that, like I said, made me feel a little bit more in control. But it still wasn't easy. It's never going to be easy. Like I said, no one has to tell me that I've got a fucked up disease. No one. No one has to tell me I'm screwed. No one. I live it every day. I have just learned to be mentally tougher than I was. I just learned to bury my head and do the work that needs to be done and put a smile on my face doing it. Because I don't care who you are, I don't care what you say, I don't care what's going on in your life. Ain't nobody gonna make it out of this damn life alive. That's the damn truth. Ain't nobody. And I had finally learned my first lesson through all of this. And I've learned several that I'm going to share with you. But this was really my first lesson. And I knew this, but I never lived it. None of us are promised tomorrow. None of us. And we're all going to pass through this veil of tears one time. And after that, there'll be no more tears, no more cancer, no more Parkinson's, no more dementia. No more disease. For all of those that believe in the gospel, and I do, we're going to definitely enter through into the kingdom forever. Because we all belong to Christ. And so that's how that's where I was at with that big lesson in life. And I had picked up that very valuable lesson. And I've never picked up a valuable lesson in my life at that time. I mean, life was good. I trucked through life, made chip pot full of money, loving life, having a good time, out there beaching it, out there laking it, out there working it, you name it, money, 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 fun, 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 loving wife, beautiful kids. Shit, I had it all. I had it all. Um, and I had felt like I had lost it all during these times. And it was such a sad feeling. Sad feeling. It's a lonely feeling. I felt so goddamn lonely during this time. So lonely. And I didn't want to be around anybody much. I really didn't want to be around myself. But I felt lonely and I felt hopeless. But after the Vanessa and getting on the right medicine and all that, I kind of changed a little bit of an attitude. I told you, a smidgen of happiness. And then I kind of started looking life at a little different. So then I started getting out more. And so one of the first things I did was I had to find a way to give me some purpose in life. So I started a little business. I know that sounds crazy, but I thought, why not? So I didn't want to do any of that ride sharing apps bullshit. I just didn't like that idea. So I started advertising a little bit of a transportation business to put me around people so I could get up my ass out of bed and actually go feel like I'm going to work every day. So that's what I did. I started advertising myself. I started going to different places, churches and things like that, people that need rides. And after a little bit of hard work, because I'm one hell of a salesman, always have been. Shit, that's what I've done all my life. So I started building my little business that way. So that gave me a little bit of something to grasp onto at that moment. And it did two things. It got me up in the morning. It got me dressed. It made me shave, brush my teeth, all those things. And I knew if I was out there driving that people around, total strangers, then I couldn't be drinking all day. So it's slapped up during my drinking during the day, not not at night, not on the weekends, but goddamn it, sure during the day when I'm not waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and just drinking all day. So that's what I started doing. And so, not to say that I just was loving life at that moment, but I felt better as a father and a husband, not just drawing some disability from my company, but actually going out there and earning a dollar. I don't know how to explain it. I've always been a good worker. I've always been a hard worker. I could sell ice cubes to an Eskimo. And I thought, well, so I started doing that. I started a little transportation business, and I started, going to different places and being like a little carrier. And it wasn't paying much by any stretch of the imagination, but it was paying me something that I felt a little bit better about myself. And it gave me some spending money that I could spend on my kids and my wife, because that was one of the hardest reasons too, me making all that money. Money wasn't really a problem. So, that's where the guilt came in, because now not only did it affect me and my life, but it was affecting my wife and kids and their good times and paying bills and all of that. Because let me tell you something, shit. Put yourself in it. Imagine making the money you're making right now, and everything's trucking right along in life, and you've got X amount of dollars coming in, and you've got good jobs, and everybody's just trucking. And then 2 weeks from now, that shit is cut in half. Then you got to incur more debt because you had a company car and you had perks with that job. So now, now not only you have less money coming in, but you got more money going out. Man, it's a fucking scary thought. Extremely scary. Looking at those 3 kids that I got to feed, put clothes on. Looking at wife I got to take care of. Looking at the bills, the rent, the groceries, car payments. And there was nothing positive about it. Nothing. Not a damn thing was positive about this experience. And trust me, after this medicine that Vanessa put me on, I was really trying to look for the positive in any of this. Any of this, I was desperately looking for the positive. But I miss my job. I miss my friends. I miss work. I miss the corporate grind every day, getting up, putting on nice khakis and some shoes and going out there and being in control and making decisions for people for the better good and teaching the people that reported to me, how to get out there and make a living and sell the products that we were selling. I missed every bit of that. And so, man, I tell you, that was a mind fuck, is what it was. A mind fuck. And boy, it wasn't pleasant because I ain't never been in that situation. Ever. Ever. I've never been in that situation. But I was in it now. And I don't know how, when I looked at that time right there, I don't know how I was going to get myself out of this situation. I don't. I don't know how. I don't know. I just didn't know what was going to happen. There I was on hospice, money cut in half, depressed. My kids fucked up in the head. Doing a number on my marriage, not being very loving as a father or a husband, really just fucking existing. And I don't know how I was going to get myself out of that situation at all. At all. And it was a tough predicament to be in. Tough. Damn when I say tough. And really, like I said, the thought of me offing myself really hadn't gone away. Let's just say I put it on the back burner at this point. I'd put it on the back burner at this point. And so, but it was still in the back of my head. It was still a thought that I was having, and I hated that fucking thought. I had that thought in my brain because I used to, when I found friends growing up and they, all of a sudden, you got somebody that and they got a life to live and they got everything to appreciate and for no reason they just off themselves. Here I was caught in that damn situation. Here I was thinking about it. I don't know how I survived that part of my life. I don't. I don't know what gives me the privilege of sitting right here with you today. I don't know really much of anything as far as that I know that I have a fucked up disease. That I know that I've been in the depths of hell. And I know that this is going to get me sooner than later. That I do know. But I also know that if you don't somehow grasp and try to get control of your situation and try to gain some control where you feel in control in an uncontrollable situation, you're screwed. Trust me, at this point in my life, I don't have still any control at all. But I do know I'm still here, and so I had to somehow, and Vanessa had put me on that right track where I might can get past a little bit of this, not past the depression part of it yet, not past this, but where I actually felt like getting up and doing something. And I had started that little business, transportation business, taking people to churches and things like that, and advertising and being a little carrier for some businesses and all that. So that somewhat gave me some happiness that I could still make some money for my family. And so that's what happened. That's where I'm at in my life at that point. But anyway, folks, stay tuned next week for another episode of 6 Months Left to Live. It gets a lot more interesting. Next week, you're going to find out exactly how I got through these financial burdens because I was certainly going broke, and I was going broke fast. And so next week, you're going to find out about that, and that becomes another part of me that I'm just not real proud of, but, you do what you got to do to survive. Have a good day, everybody. I'm Hank. I'm your host of 6 Months Left to Live. I will see you next week.